Yes, guys, welcome back to the last edition today. And basically, it's one or two stories we're going to look at. Bissouma's transfer request. Of course, Liverpool and Arsenal will be keeping a very, very keen eye on that one, with reports that Arsenal are ahead of Manchester City and Liverpool. Going to discuss that. He has handed in officially, told Brighton, you know what? Let me go. I want to leave. We're gonna discuss that. It's a huge boost for us now if we are gonna sign him because he has 2 years left on his contract. So Brighton could decide not to sell him, but I think they will sell him. I think they'll sell him. Arsenal has hired a headhunting company to look for new scouts after we laid off almost 50 scouts, no strikes, 50 scouts due to financial constraints. So we're gonna discuss that as well, and also how same hour could be available for just 30 million pounds. Remember, we discussed that in detail last summer, but reports from the Equip are saying that Bissouma would be available for 30 million. So those three stories will conclude the day today. And join me by hitting that like button, by subscribing to the channel, and telling me who you are. Because for me, the moment I see how Samoa at 30 million pounds and Bissouma at 30, it looks like we have to make a choice. And surprisingly, my choice might surprise many of you. But let us start with Yavis Bissouma. This is according to 101 Great Goals. I really like Tom Canton. He writes for this website, but he also has the channel called The Guna Talk. So make sure you always go and check in there. He says Bissouma's transfer request pitches Liverpool and Arsenal. Now, according to him, according to the article, Bissouma request transfer. Yavis Bissouma has been one of the standout performers at Brighton this season. Graham Potter looks set to keep the Seagulls in the Premier League once again next season. He has relied upon the Malian midfielder to anchor his side and to be to be a key figure in retrieving possession and progressing play from the defensive third. However, there is a challenge in keeping him this summer, with the Times reporting that the 24-year-old has requested to be allowed to move on. Bissouma has asked to be allowed to leave Brighton Albion at the end of the season, and amid interest from trio of the Premier League's wealthiest clubs, Manchester United, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Manchester City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. 101 have produced a piece on why Bissouma should be a target for the Gunners late last year. Feel free to check it out there. So, guys, that's the first thing. Yavis Bissouma has told Brighton he wants to leave. He has told them he would want to leave the club. He wants to move on. So he has put in his transfer request formally or officially. He has already now. I think that's a big step for us. No, he has already shown us where his position, his mind is. Because for most players, what they will do, they will decide to say, I'm committed, I want to stay, and things like that. But Bissouma has come out clearly and said, I want to leave. Let me go. I want to go. I think it's a very, very big boost for us. No, but the problem that comes in here is he's a player. He's 24 years of age and he only has 2 years left on his contract. So you have the likes of City, you have the likes of Liverpool, you have the likes of Arsenal now more interested. Now, according to 101, they're saying that Klopp's Bissouma admiration is also sparked by his transfer request. And they're saying Jurgen Klopp is a huge admirer of Bissouma and sees him as a natural replacement for the likely departing Gideon Wijnaldum, according to reports. The Dutchman's midfield contract is up at the end of the season, and the move abroad is more likely. So, and I also think they need that kind of player at this point in time. Henderson will need to move on probably in the next 2 or 3 years. He's their captain. I don't expect him to sign for any other club in the Premier League, but he's getting older and older, so I think they'll lose Henderson. They're losing Gigi Wijnaldum, and Keita has not really been the quality Liverpool would want in a midfielder. So I think Bissouma will be very, very strong target for Liverpool FC. Arsenal, of course, we've talked about this. The quality in the midfield is a little bit lacking. So, and many people are saying, many reports claim that we are front runners. We are the ones that have a very, very, very big advantage on Yavis Bissouma, despite the fact that he has told Brighton he wants to leave. We don't know where he's going to end up. Only reports from the Mail only indicate that Arsenal is ahead. There is nothing more to that. Actually, this is the latest development now that the player has told Brighton he wants to leave. But there are three clubs: Manchester City, Arsenal, and Liverpool. So where will he go in the next summer? In the summer, that's a very big question. But according to 101, they're saying that the City are also looking at him as a Fernandinho replacement. I've told you that Fernando Ruiz Rosa will leave Manchester City at the end of the season, and they're saying similar to Liverpool, Manchester City have a key midfield figure expected to depart this summer, with Fernandinho's contract set to expire. Guardiola could move to bring in Bissouma in as competition for the likes of Rodri and Ike Gundogan. However, the African may see Arsenal and Liverpool as options where playing time is more guaranteed. So, three clubs are fighting for Yavis Bissouma. Arsenal, who are reportedly having the upper hand. I think, let me just try to share my thoughts on this. I think many reports indicate that we have an upper hand on Bissouma. I think the reason is because, literally they are saying he's an Arsenal fan. I think that's the reason as why they're saying we have an upper hand. We are closer. But with the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City, because for Liverpool, I think Liverpool are more attractive than Arsenal. And then City is more attractive than Liverpool and Arsenal. But the only thing with Manchester City, you're playing under Guardiola, you're getting the money you want. But for me, it would be very hard for a player like Yavis Bissouma to break into the starting lineup. They have Rodri, they have Ike Gundogan at the moment. Those are players that have been at City fighting, for a starting place. And I think you give a lot of credit to Fernandinho. The way he has maintained his spot at Manchester City, I think for 7 consecutive years. I remember after Yaya Toure, that is when we see more of Fernando Luis Rosa, and I think he has done brilliantly, brilliantly well. So they want to get in that player who fits in as Fernando, and Bissouma. I think Bissouma has the qualities. His passing is okay. His tackling is okay. If you look at if you look at transfermarket.com, they'll tell you that his strength is in tackling and also progressing the ball from the defense to the final third. So I think under Pep Guardiola, I don't know whether he fits the build of player Pep would want, but I think they will eventually need that kind of player. You need that type of player that helps you regain possession. So I think City might put an eye there, but I don't think they will. They'll press hard. For regular team football, I think at City it's all about competition. The competition there is very, very stressful. The moment you can't fight with other players to get football at City, you're gone. So will Bissouma go to City? I think if they come in for him and give him a good deal, there is no way he's gonna turn them down. They're gonna be champions of the Premier League. They're already champions of the Carabao Cup, and they have made it to the finals of the Champions League this year. So they're just too good to be dumped by a player like Yavis Bissouma. So if Arsenal sees that there is genuine interest from City, I think our chances will decline on Bissouma. The other team is Liverpool, who I also believe are a little bit more attractive than Arsenal, because they have a Premier League title last year, and they have a Champions League title last year but one. So again, they also have a manager in Jurgen Klopp. I think any player around Europe will want to play for Jurgen Klopp. He's a very interesting manager, and he has a lot of pedigree and he's earned it. So with the likes of Liverpool interested, the likes of Manchester City, then you think Arsenal will have to weigh their options a little bit heavier on the balance. But talking about Arsenal, we are leading the race according to the mail. So happy days, aren't they? We are leading the race of a player who has turned in a transfer request. That is a very big boost for us. Another boost we have is that Bissouma has the same agent as Nicolas Pepe, and reports claim that Pepe and Gabriel Magalhaes have been in contact with Yves Bissouma ever since the players left Lille Metropole. So they've been in contact and they share the same agent, an agent we have done business with before. So I think we have a couple of positives in the deal. Do I think it will happen? It's not going to be an easy one. On paper, it looks so easy, but I think you have to convince Brighton. Then you have to convince the player so that he leaves, two rivals that have Champions League to go to a club that doesn't have that won't qualify for any position in Europe. But that is the latest. The player has handed in, his transfer interest request, and he said, "I want to leave Brighton. Let me go." Do you think they will let him go? That is the big question. However, there is a big story we guys must discuss, and that is around how Semowa. Don't get off the stream. I know you're really frustrated about this guy and him billing to Arsenal, but they are saying, according to Lee Equip, so they're not they, but Lee Equip is saying that how Semowa will be available for as low as £30 million this summer. As low as £30 million this summer. Remember last summer we failed to sign him because he was reportedly at 60 million. Now a player who's valued at 60 million or 50 dropping to 30 million, you've got to ask yourself, what is so wrong with him? What has changed? He's 23 years of age. I don't think he's become old. Maybe his contract, I've not looked into his contract, so probably maybe his contract could be running down. That could be a factor. Last season he told us he wants to stay at Lyon. He wants to keep another year there. It's a club that has groomed him. It's the club that has made him the player he is. So would you take House Semowa for £30 million? Bissouma is 30. House Semowa is 30. According to the latest polls I've seen, I made a poll myself on who you'd choose between Guido, I think Bissouma and Semowa, and you people were very quite clear that you would go for Bissouma over House Semowa. And for me, according to the transfer priorities we have and the needs we have on the pitch, I think if you have a player like House Semowa and Bissouma at the same time, and you can only sign one of them, when you have a player like Thomas Partey in the midfield, I think the better player to go for is Semowa. Funny, isn't it? I know many people are disappointed in me. Most of you would want to see Bissouma, but I think I've spoken this about Camavinga. I've said this about Camavinga over Bissouma, and I said the reason you take Camavinga over Bissouma is Camavinga is creative. Now, if you're talking about creativity, if you're talking about progression, if you're talking about agility, if you're talking about urgency, I think there is no better player to give you that in that deep midfield area than House Semowa. And for me, for the fact that he's going to be available for £30 million, we could as well try him. We could as well do a try, probably just hit there and see whether he can actually consider moving to Arsenal. But Fabrizio said the player wants to move from Lyon to another club, but he wants Champions League football. So for him to move from Lyon to Arsenal really won't make any sense apart from moving to the Premier League, because literally you're moving from one of the best leagues to the best league, which is the Premier League. So it would be kind of an upgrade for House Semowa to move from Lyon to Arsenal. But at the moment when we don't have Europa League, at the moment when we do not have Champions League, it looks a deal that is so hard. But Lee Equip is saying that the player will be available for only £30 million. Is it a deal we would do? I don't know, you guys. You can let me know. Um, Arsenal. Now, this is according to the Guardian, and we are going to conclude this. We are going to conclude the show with this story. I'll take your comments as well. Make sure you hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Massively appreciated. But the Guardian have written something interesting, and I think I'll break this story down. So let us have a look. They have said that Arsenal want to sign in new scouts. Arsenal want new scouts. I'm going to discuss this story in a 10-minute video, and I will upload it tomorrow. This is what the Guardian have said. Arsenal move to strengthen scouting network in the latest recruitment reshuffle. Okay, so they're saying Arsenal have appointed a headhunting company to recruit new scouts in a number of key positions 9 months after gutting their previous recruitment structure in a favor of more streamlined approach. The Guardian understands Arsenal have asked Nolan partners who specialize in filing senior roles within sports and entertainment to help them find scouts in a number of areas where their presence has been light since last August. They are seeking 2 scouts in Germany, one of whom will be focused on youth recruitment, as well as new personnel to serve the UK, France, and Spain. Discussions with some candidates are thought to be underway. It is a procedure that may raise eyebrows given the high-profile changes made across Arsenal's scouting network a month before this season began. They released Francis. They released Francis Cagiago. I think that's the word. That's the name. It's very, very hard. They are head of international recruitment, as well as senior scouts in Germany, Spain, Italy, France, and the UK. In September, the Arsenal technical director, Edu, explained those moves by saying, I don't want individual people working in one area or for one country. I want a group working together, less people with more responsibilities. So it looks like we are recruiting new scouts ahead of the transfer summer. I don't know how to react to this. I don't know what this really means. I'll try to read the whole article myself so that I can get a better insight. But what I know is, first and foremost, we cut off scouts before the beginning of the season. You're going into a very important summer. You need to bring in new scouts. There are no questions about that. You've let go of your previous scout network. There is no way you're going to sign good players without good scouts. But I also doubted the quality of our scouts over the last 5 years. We've been spending money, but on the wrong players. I think there are so many questions on how our scouts have been working. We've been spending money. Everybody understands, but on the wrong players. So for me, a change in the scouting network would actually do me a world of good. So, guys, those are the latest updates around this beautiful football club, Arsenal. Bro, Bissouma is the man. Awa is not technically gifted. Thank you so much, Lucky. My opinion is to sell Arsenal to another billionaire who is ready to invest in the club to buy better players like Bissouma, Awa, Hakimi, Haaland, and Zaha. Thank you so much, Victor. And then Kamara said, Kosi Bissouma is perfect partner for partnership, and Awa Obwendia should be our number 10. Thank you so much as well. So, guys, literally, with all that has been there to discuss, I want to call this a video. But Bissouma handing in his transfer request, I think it really works in the favor of Arsenal. Now, we only have to deal with Brighton. We have seen that the player resonates in the same way we do. I think that is really, really brilliant. The player wants to leave. Now you are looking at a player who wants to leave. We are no longer dealing with a player who actually is committed to Brighton. The player wants to leave. He has told his parent club, I want to go. Let me go join Arsenal. I think it's an interesting story, isn't it? Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So let us wait and see. But the fact that how Samoa is is available at a cut price, I think if Mikel Arteta's interest was genuine, if Arteta's interest was genuine in this guy, I also think we could do a deal for House Semawa. Because according to LTA, they're saying that at 30 million, House Semawa is just a must signing for Arsenal. He wanted to join us last summer, but it didn't happen because we didn't match Lyon's valuation. Fingers crossed, there will be things will be different this winter. So we were interested, and I think he has the qualities to play in that area. I've told you before that I would love progression, I would love creativity next to Thomas Partey, rather than a player who's a little bit more stiff. My problem only is is tackling. He's not good at tackling. He's more of moving the ball forward, but he's another game controller. Whenever you have players like House Semonwa, you're rest assured that at least you'll keep the ball for some 5 minutes, which you can't have with players like Granit Xhaka, players that cannot make passes, basic passes of 10 yards, 5-yard passes. They can't do that. So if Arsenal go for House Semonwa over Bissouma, I won't be surprised and I won't be angry. I think he's more of a decorated player in that area than Yavis Bissouma. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Otherwise, some few comments here and there. Scouting in Arsenal is so failing. The team, I even say that in your previous video. I mean, they have a problem. They have a problem. Let's go for Bissouma as early as possible. Thank you so much, Engineer. But they have a problem. Our scouts really do have a problem. I'm telling you. How do you recommend Sid Kolasinac? They have recommended players like Sid Kolasinac at this football club, players like Rob Holding at this football club. They have recommended players like Granit Xhaka at this football club. And I'm still asking myself, where the likes of Hakim Ziyech, why don't we get linked? How did we not get linked to Donny van der Beek? How did we not get linked to Erling Haaland? The likes of Jude Bellingham. We should be fighting for those deals. We should be fighting for the good deals. That is what a good scouting network does. But the moment you have a scouting network that links you to the worst players, then your recruitment, of course, it goes back to the recruitment, the recruitment structure of Arsenal. And for me, scouts are at the heart of the recruiting structure. The moment you have poor scouts, the moment you have scouts that do not, Mohamed Elneny is playing for Arsenal. How come Mohamed Elneny? Who is the scout that scouted Elneny for Arsenal? And what are the reasons behind it? So we've got to think about it. Realistically, the scouts are also not good enough. So, overall, Arsenal and all the structures throughout the hierarchy, they're not good enough. But scouts and Arsenal, we needed a change. Yeah, there's some good scouts we lost, and I do understand they should have stayed. But there are some scouts that needed to go. We needed a change in scouts. When I watch TV, there's so many good players out there. You're gonna think about the likes of Leroy Sané before moving to Manchester City. I didn't see Arsenal linked to those players. I didn't see the likes of Julian Brandt linked to Arsenal before. The likes of Hakan Çalhanoğlu. We have been looking for a number 10, and he will eventually end up at Manchester United. The likes of Bruno Fernandes. How much was that deal? The likes of, like I said, Donny van der Beek. You need a progressive midfielder. Donny van der Beek is 34 million pounds, and there is no competition on that deal. Why don't you do such a deal? So our scouts are also to blame for what's happening at this club, especially in terms of recruitment. Speak to you tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow. We'll discuss a lot. We will discuss a lot. I think I'll talk about Kroenke tomorrow. I'll provide an Arsenal takeover update. We'll talk about the Arsenal takeover because looks like Daniel Ek has started, playing around. So we need to talk about the Arsenal takeover and more stuff happening at this football club. You've been a very, very good audience ever since we started streaming today. I think at around 6 p.m. I'm going to upload a video for you. I think If it's not about Eduardo Camavinga, it might be about Awa or William Saliba. I'll try to look, but I think I should upload a tactics video, a tactics and skills video about William Saliba. Reports have it that Saliba will be staying at the club, will be coming back at the club next season. So starting with pre-season, we'll be seeing the man himself, William Saliba, playing at Arsenal. So whoever is a big fan of Saliba, you've got me. You've got your request granted. Saliba is coming back. Yeah. It goes down to Kroenke in the end. I think there's no question about that. At the top of, at the apex of the hierarchy is a man who doesn't care. I'm going to talk about Kroenke tomorrow. The transfers we are making, it's kind of Kroenke. The players that have been leaving this football club because we cannot pay them the money they want. It's been kind of Kroenke. So I'll speak about Kroenke tomorrow. Have a blessed evening.